recording. What that reason is, it can be put onto the Moodle platform, and if you wanted to go back and listen to any of it, or if you can't make it one night, for instance, then it will be on there for you to pick up afterwards. Obviously, it won't be interactive, but at least you'll have the information that went through on that particular lesson. So let's have a look at the specification for this unit. Now, this document that I've got here will be used in another guise as well. At the moment, it's an assignment front sheet that says what the learning objectives are, the particular assessment criteria that will meet that learning objective, and here I've put suggested evidence, if you like, that you can bring forward to cover the assessment criteria. There are no assignments as such in this, no written assignments, because it is still relatively a new qualification, and none of the writers, in fact, that write educational stuff has actually put anything together for it, because as I've found, as it's probably the third or fourth time I've delivered this program now, it's got a lot of nooks and crannies that you need to get into specifically rather than just done through an assignment. So, as well as this, I've got a second document which looks at the unit aim overall. Theories, principles and models in education and training. So the unit aim is to give learners an underpinning knowledge and understanding, and to help in the development of their own practice in education and training. It addresses the importance of understanding the role of communication, so that the learner is better equipped to deliver that themselves. It addresses the underpinning knowledge needed to create approaches to assessment that meet learner and assessment needs, and through developing the understanding of the theories and models that influence curriculum development, is able to relate them to their own area of specialism. And it goes through that in sort of 5 learning objectives that pick up different aspects of training and development, which we'll go through in a little while. So, essential requirements. I found this, I delivered it Unit 1, 2, 3 before, and after I found this piece of information from another source, it says that this unit is a prerequisite for Unit 1. In other words, it needs to be done first. So I've actually run it that way from then on, and everybody seems happy with it up to now. So it seems to have worked okay. Again, this is a knowledge-based unit, therefore there's no requirement for any assessment evidence based on teaching practice or anything of that nature. But it's essential that theories and principles draw on workplace experience and make the theory more relevant to specific subject areas, or not, if it's a subject area where the theories do not match with what you do, because, you know, participants coming onto this course will be in lots and lots of different positions. Some will be actual non-qualified teachers, some will be teaching assistants, some will be teaching in special educational needs establishments, and some will be teaching in further education. So there's a whole range of things, not just teaching in schools, but a whole range. And their approach to what they do will differ greatly. And that fact that some of the theorists that you'll come up against perhaps don't match the practice that has to be done. And because this is your qualification, by all means say so. If you look at a theory and say, I don't agree with that, fine, that's brilliant. So what we've done is put together this amplification. So, analyse theories, principles and models of learning. So theories, principles and models, procedural, declarative, Anderson, skills development, Gagné, scaffolding learning, Bruner and Vygotsky. Vygotsky actually has a lot to say about a lot of things, actually. And, having read most of them, I probably think that he's one of the best ones that probably follows my teaching practice in different situations. But there are a lot of others that looked at deductive approaches, situated approaches to learning, the banking concept of education, competency-based models, learning as changes in behaviour, or learner-based models, constructivist approaches, and formal versus non-formal learning, Geralt. All of these theorists, by all means, I mean, there are a number of pieces of information on the VLE for you, but with some of these, I actually say, look them up, see what they've got to say, do some research on them. Excuse me. Didn't have a drink before I started. Yeah, look them up, do a bit of research on them, and then what the best way of doing it really is when you look them up, make some notes, and then write your piece on them off those notes.
Yeah.
Then obviously you just use standard classification for where you've got the information from, etc.
Yeah.
So again, 1.1 is analyze theories, principles, and models of learning. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you notice the bit on the side, future presentation, end of. There was a piece on here I'm not quite sure whether it's on this one or not. I'll just run to the end. Just a second. Oops. Yeah, information for tutors. Gives me some information. And then says at the end, oh, I think I've removed it. Anyway, what I'm going to say is that this piece of this document is on the VLE for you to read, so that it can actually tell you what I'm going to be looking for as well.
Okay.
So whip back to the top.
So, Phil, I'm a bit confused because I'm enrolled on the NCFE level 3.
Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that. I'm going to go back to that in a minute. But one of the things that I wanted to do was do the Unit 3 of the DET with you, yeah, because it gives you a lot of background, yeah. Once you've done this one, we'll swap back onto the ATHE, which I'll cover in a minute. I'm going to go back to that when I've looked at this Unit 3 with you. And we've got 1.2, explain ways in which theories, principles, and models of learning can be applied. Yeah. Analyze models of learning preference. Yeah. And then explain how identifying and taking account of learners' individual needs enables inclusive teaching and learning and assessment. And again, you've got a guide on here as to what it's asking for. And again, you've got a number of other people, Honey and Mumford, Gardner, Caulfield, Entwistle. He looks at metacognition, ability, and that sort of thing. 1.4 is explain, that's just to carry on from that, explain how identifying needs can enable inclusive teaching, learning, and assessment. So the response to learning preferences, the importance of multisensory approach, engaging all types of learners, etc. That gives you that idea. Now, I'm going to quickly go through the rest of this because it's less important than that first bit. But each of the pieces of work that you'll need to do on this unit are identical in terms of what it's asking you to do and then your response to it. So 2.1 is analyze theories and principles of communication. You've done learning in LO1, now it's communication. So you've got to look at a number of people again and what they've got to say on communication. Bakotski's there again. And a number of other people that weren't there before. And again, explain ways in which theories, principles, and models of communication can be applied to teaching, learning, and assessment. So it's the same format as before. 3.1 is analyze theories, principles, and models of assessment. And then goes to give you all types of information of where you should be looking. And then explain how those models can be applied. Yeah. 4.2 looks at curriculum development in exactly the same way, with obvious ideas for people to contact and look at, and then explain ways in which those can be applied. And the last one is the one that has become, how shall I say, it's one that's looked at a lot more differently. I'll put it, looked at differently today. It's something that, quite honestly, every teacher does at the end of a session. They'll sit down and think, well, that was rubbish. I don't think it went very well. I should have done this. I could have done that. I didn't sort of tease information out in my questions. Or sometimes you'll do it, and that went absolutely perfectly. I'm really, really pleased with that. And it's something that you've done sort of in your head. This looks at documenting how you've worked, how you've gone through the process, and it's looking at theories and models of reflection and evaluation. Yeah, so that you do reflect on what's happened, and then you evaluate, make an evaluation of it. Yeah, and once you've done that, you can then look at where you can improve. Which 5.2 explain ways in which theories and models of reflection can be applied to reviewing your own practice. Yeah. So again, there's a whole host of information on the unit amplification and what you need to do, and that is Unit 3 in a nutshell. Yeah. So what I would suggest is that you look at. Let's go back to the beginning. Just learning objective 1 for now. There's quite a bit of work in there because it's almost 2 learning objectives in 1. In fact, they've split it into 4 assessment criteria rather than a single one as the others do. So 1.1 is analyse theories and principles and models of learning with a number of people to look at and research on. 1.2 is explain ways in which theories, principles and models of learning can be applied. Again, analyse models of learning preference, learning styles. Yeah, it's surprising how this has become much more mainstream now because it wasn't used until a lot of students that were listed as special educational needs were, shall I say, borderline. They went into mainstream education, but there wasn't much done to include them in the process. Those with definite special educational needs were looked after, and this learning preference and everything about it and the psychology behind it was looked at very greatly to make sure that they were engaging the youngsters in a situation that they could cope with. Now, as many SEN establishments have been merged into mainstream, what's happened is that this has become much more important. You've now got to look at ways in which you can look at learning preferences in a broader sense to make sure that the teaching that you do is inclusive, so that you just don't use one method of delivery. It can be done in several ways. In fact, one of my students on this course has just given me an explanation of how he has adapted a whole assessment practice for learners that have a specific special need. So that they don't have to write reams and reams and reams about something. They can actually draw pictures, because that they can do very well, and he can elicit the same information that he needs through that system. And I thought it was very good the way he'd written it out as well. So yeah, this has become much more mainstream nowadays, and of course 1.4. It enables inclusive teaching and learning and assessment.
Yeah.
Sadly,
yeah.
Sorry?
I've got 2 stepchildren, so.
Yeah, sadly, it doesn't actually work as well as it should do in those situations I've been explaining about before, where SEN has been put into mainstream, sort of, well, before it was just sort of sink or swim. It's not now. There is a lot more done about it, but still not enough, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is LO1 in a nutshell. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully you've taken a few notes there, and I will get rid of this. Pull that down and close that one down. Oops. And go back to here. Have you got access to the VLE okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
You've been on it and tried it out, have you?
Yeah, I've been through the modules,
Right.
all of the modules of the level 3. I can't see the level 5 yet.
Right. I've got the level 3 award that I'm bringing up now. Now, this has been reorganised quite recently, and it's now looking at learners receiving a minimum of 12 credits, 3 credits from the mandatory group, Group A, 6 credits from Group B, and 3 credits again from Group C. What that amounts to is Units 1 and 2 and another unit, because Unit 1 is your 3 credits, and that's from your mandatory piece.
Yeah.
Unit 2 is 6 credits from Group B. And finally, Unit 6 is probably the best one because it will help with the assessment bit in the level 5. Yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
So what we're going to do is start with Unit 1. Straightforward, but I will overview before that on the other units. So I'll pick up Unit 1. Oh, here we are. So there's a whole host of things in here. We've got some.
Yeah, so I've read all of them now.
Have you looked at the PowerPoints?
Yeah, all of them.
You've looked at all of those, right? So what we'll do is I'll just close that for a minute. I don't normally go through these with you anyway. I'll leave you to go through those yourself and read through them.
Yeah, I mean, my only concern is how they're assessed, really. So,
right. Well, I'll explain that now. What you will do is you will put together. I'm trying to think. Let me have a look. This won't work. What you do is basically put together responses in, this is level 5, but it doesn't matter. The format's exactly the same, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But it will, you will head that up with, this is Unit 3, LO1, this is the one you're going to do for level 5, yeah. And then in a Word document, you will start to put together. It'll say, analyze series principles and models of learning. And it will say, I have looked at a number of theories. I will be analysing Anderson's procedural and Gagner's skills development, Lever and Wenger's situated approaches. And then goes on to write an analysis, yeah? Which comes, I will then, once you've done LO1, right, I will then give you some feedback, yeah? And if like this one, it's excellent, I'll just put achieve, good. And then the next bit, 1.2, explain ways, and then follow that up with the next bit, 1.3 and 1.4. Yeah, that's the written evidence you're going to put together for that one. Yeah, in that format, always in a Word document. At the head of each one, eventually, this is the document I showed you before, but now I've changed it to assignment front sheet. It looks exactly the same, only this time it's got all this is the same on this side, but I've changed this box here from not yet achieved to page number. Then where I put good, that's passed, I will put a detail of Good analysis produced from your research of the theorists in learning. This was followed by a well-explained description of the various applications of theory. Yeah? So I'll give clear feedback on there and show that that's achieved. And you will put in what page it's on. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the on your written piece. Now, in the header, I would ask you to put. I've taken the name out of this one because I use it as an example. Yeah. I would ask you to put your name, level 5 diploma in educational training, and what's missing off that one? It should say unit 3. Yeah, it should say unit. Yeah. But yours will say level 3 AET unit 1. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But the format is exactly the same. And as we work through the program, this sheet will be at the head of the work that you send. I'll put it at the head of the work that you send me. Yeah. Now, as we send it backwards and forwards each time, I will say you send me learning objective 1 complete. Yeah. I will then put achieved or not yet achieved. I'll put a note in the side of here what needs to be done. Yeah. And send it to you back. Okay. When you send it back again, I will then correct anything and change my notes in the side here. If I put, for instance, go back down the other way. If I've written achieved code. Sorry?
So these page numbers refer to, the page numbers in this document refer to the page numbers in the below that table.
Yeah. It's so that afterwards, if you do assessment, if you want to look at something that somebody's done and say, oh, I want to have a look at that, oh, it's on page 6, and then just whisk to page 6. It makes it extremely easier for me as the assessor, as well as the teacher, and it makes it clear for the IQA, the quality assurer, who's going to look at, make sure I've assessed it properly, and do a double check on there. He will just sample through there. So that means it makes it straightforward. This is why I've altered the document to make it useful. But of course, yours will say your name, AT level 3, and then unit number.
Yeah.
So again, that as an example can go, and we can look at. Oops. You've read all through these as well?
Yeah.
Right, hang on, start one up. Well, it's just a handout I put in. I couldn't remember that one. Right. Can I ask what situation you are in with regard to teaching?
So basically, I've been offered some work in terms of teaching functional maths and English.
Yeah.
And I need to get this done as soon as possible so I can get on teaching it. But I have got tutors that I've been supporting on that course.
Right.
So I've got one who's got learning difficulties like dyslexia and dyscalculia. So I'm working with him individually. So I've had my first session with him, and I can use this. And they've given me all the work that I need in terms of lesson planning, screening them to find out what issues they have. So they've done an initial test with them.
Right. So you've got the results of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we develop a individual learner plan.
Yeah.
And then basically any support they need within that, I'm supporting them. I mean, I'm using some, because my children are SEN, not in mainstream education. I've got some books that I used for them.
Right.
So, toe by toe and things like that to help them with the math.
Right. Well, we can particularly flirt through this fairly quickly then. In terms of bringing back to there, so let me just go to the, The actual specification sheet, yeah. So it basically breaks down into understand the teaching role and responsibilities, education and training, and then it explains the teaching role and responsibilities, summarise key aspects of legislation and regulatory requirements and codes of practice, and that has to relate to your own role and responsibilities in what you're doing. Yeah. So you've actually quickly explained that to me already. So it just needs to be put into words so that it can go down as part of your portfolio. And explain ways to promote equality and value diversity, and explain why it is important to identify and meet individual learner needs. Now, again, we've just discussed that briefly, and basically you've got all the information you need there to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, understand ways to maintain safe and supportive learning environment, explain ways to maintain safe and supporting learning environment, why it is important to promote appropriate behaviour and respect for others. It looks at the behavioural aspects because, as you will know, in SEN there are a whole host of atypical behaviours of certain learners that you need to be able to understand and work with. Yeah.
Yeah.
And understand the relationship between teachers and other professionals. To explain how the teaching role involves working with other professionals. Again, specifically in that area, you will have psychologists, you will have other educators that work within that group. Yeah.
Yeah. I've used those different professionals to be able to.
Yeah, exactly.
One of them is statemented, so I've got a lot of experience with that.
Yeah, yeah. And explain the boundaries between the teaching role and how those work, and then describe points of referral, how those are met, and how decisions are made with regard to that on the path forward for individuals. Yeah, where it meets the individual needs of learners, and that Unit 1, right? Assessment guidance. A range of assessment evidence can be used for this as long as all learning outcomes and assessment are covered. The evidence generated can be internally or externally moderated. That's for me to deal with. Internal assessment for further information. There's not much information on there actually apart from that typical NCFE. Those 3 learning objectives, I think you can cover those fairly quickly with what you put on there, using the format that I've just explained. What I'll do, I will make a front sheet out for this because there doesn't appear to be one on here. Let me just go back on there a minute.
Yeah, I was confused about
that. Is there a front sheet for this?
Well, but now that I've seen what you've got, do I just transfer that into a table?
Yeah. No, there isn't. There's not one on here. I'll make one out. I'll actually make one out, and then you know exactly what you need to do. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, that was my confusion really, because I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah. I'm looking for the one I showed you on that front sheet that I showed you before explains it all, and there isn't one for this one. I thought I made one out and put it on, but apparently I haven't. So I'll do that, and I'll actually send it to you later. Is that okay?
Okay. Thank you.
That way you'll have that, and then that'll be your sort of resource to look back on. Have I got that? Have I done that? Is that in place?
Yeah.
That's it.
And then should I just put in all the I've got? So basically with the screening, exams, examples, and lesson plans and everything.
Yeah. So, there isn't one on there, definitely. And there was one for Unit 2, which seems to have gone. Yes. Right, what I'll do is I'll make them out for all 3 units to make sure that we've got everything in place. And I'll send you the Unit 1 straight away, and then I'll make the other 2 out actually before next week. Have you got any particular questions?
For the micro teach, really, how will I? Because I mean, my aim is basically I want to. The work is there for me as long as I get this unit, this ATHE completed.
Well, focus on that then. Focus on that. Let's run through that. The overlap is pretty good on that Unit 3, but for other pieces as well. And it's a bit broader than you need for this. So, yeah, let's focus on this, and we'll get Unit 1 out of the way as soon as possible. Let me... Yeah, you've read all the information on there. You know now what you've got to do in terms of format. Yeah. You make a state on that. I will send you the front sheet. Yeah. And then you'll have that. You can actually put that. Are you okay with IT?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Then you once I've sent that to you, you can put it at the head of your work, and that's page 1 basically, and you move on from there. And then when you send it to me, I will then be able to just put my assessment in at the side and detail your work.
Yeah.
So, any other questions?
No, not really.
Right.
So basically, I went through those. I mean, it was just a micro teaching how we were going to go around.
Right. Well, where are you situated?
Birmingham.
Sorry?
I'm in Birmingham.
Birmingham. Ah, right. A bit too far for me, that. But what you could do, and this is what I've done with a few others that are abroad. Actually, I get them to video it. Yeah. Okay. Video the session, send it to me. I can do an observation report on that then, and that's the piece of evidence you need for that section.
That's fine. I can do that.
Superb. Right, now the other thing, of course, is I'm basically at your beck and call 24/7. So you will have my number somewhere. You can text me, you can drop me a mail, anything of that nature if you need to, specific information. I'll pick that up and send that back to you as soon as possible. And it's the same with the feedback that I will send. I always try. We have a limit of 2 weeks, but I certainly try to make it much shorter than that.
Okay. Yeah. So all of these go down to the email of Learn.
Sorry?
So I send these all to the email starting with Learner.
Learnerwork at ukversity.co.uk, and it will find me pretty well straight away.
Okay.
I have 2 mails that it'll go to. One, it goes faster than the other, so I always check them both. And then I'll pick that up as soon as possible. For instance, somebody sent me some work while we were on program here on the Join Me session, and it didn't appear in my my box on my work mail well, it hadn't appeared before the end of the session, but the other one, within a minute, it had appeared on the other one straight away, and I was able to pick up something that she'd left off. She sent me some work, but missed a piece. Just wanted to send it so we could finish it off. Okay then. Have you found the format okay?
Yeah, it was all. I think I was just missing that cover sheet because I wasn't quite sure what.
Yeah, I'll make a front sheet out for that and send it to you straight.
I think I know what I need to do. Just need to just work those by the evidence.
Brilliant. Thanks for attending. If you've got no more questions, we'll close that tonight. And again, contact me anytime if you need to in between.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Phil.
Bye to you.
Okay. Take care. Bye.